Hi guys, Samurai here, backing in with another episode of What If Pokemon Sword and Shield was the series. In the last episode, the group has recently made it to Hulbury and met Nessa. Elaine is having her gym battle first and Ash is having her gym battle last, so without any further ado, let's get started into the episode. Elaine's gym battle starts and it's explosive from the beginning. She tries to immediately go for the victory going on the offense. Her Yamper using Spark along with Nikki using its dark type moves, along with Eevee and its normal type, she goes on the offensive heavy. However, Nessa was ready for this. She starts off with Dreadnought first. Dreadnought's heavy defense renders their offensive attacks worthless. Even Yamper with his electric type moves is only able to tie with Dreadnought, not making much of a dent in Nessa's lineup. Nessa sends out Barracuda, and it makes quick work of Elaine's Eevee. Eevee did not see this coming and it didn't have any moves to defend itself. Barracuda is wicked fast, so it gets knocked out. She sends out Nickit as her last Pokemon. Nickit is able to knock out Barracuda, but Nickit is heavily tired and heavily fatigued, being an easy picking for gold. This marks the first loss of the series for her. She's very depressed by this loss, thinking that she would make a better impact on Nessa. Nessa even tells her that she went in too cocky and too bold, didn't thinking of a strategy. The other gym trainers go and get their turn. This includes Chase. Chase ends up winning by studying everybody else's matchups and going accordingly. He ends up winning his gym battle on the first try, and this only gets Elaine more depressed. She goes outside to talk to Ash, who's training with Sobble at this point. Ash and Sobble are having a bit of trouble due to Sobble's natural crying and disappearing. However, Ash plans to use this to his advantage because of Sobble's camouflage ability. This allows him to blend in with the surroundings, making it very easy for sneak attacks. This is when Elaine comes up to talk to Ash, and Ash says that he's lost 20 of gym battles and that it's also important to know what you did wrong so you can improve on it next time. Nessa is still taking challengers for the day, and after Ash, Elaine plans to go next. Ash's gym battle starts, and it's explosive right from the beginning. Ash starts out with his tried and true Corvisquire this time, and Corvisquire is using speedy movements, and this time, Nessa starts out with Barracuda. Barracuda is moving incredibly fast around the stadium, and it's a battle between speed and ingenuity between Barracuda and Corvisquire. They go so fast that they end up colliding with each other and create our first tie of the series. Nessa is amazed that someone was able to keep up with Barracuda. Only one other person has been able to do that today. The next Pokemon she sends out would of course be, she sends out Goldeen, and Ash sends out Sobble as a response. She's incredibly excited to see what Ash and Sobble can bring to the table. She actually put Ash first so he could see his Sobble firsthand. Due to the training that Ash and Sobble does, it actually has increased confidence. Not too much, but it's definitely a boost. The battle starts out in the tank. Both Pokemon are swimming around doing their thing. Sobble's trying its best to get on hits, but this is where Goldeen gets very confrontational and starts to attack Sobble head on. Ash tells Sobble to use a sneak attack strategy. This move prevents Sobble from being scared of the audience or scared of Goldeen by turning invisible. Since Goldeen can't see it, Sobble can perform its moves way better than before, performing a lot of sneak attacks that Goldeen didn't see coming and actually end up knocking it out fairly easily. Nessa is quite impressed by the fact that they were able to knock out her Goldeen. This is usually the Pokemon people struggle with. So now she sends out her final Pokemon being Dreadnought. Now Dreadnought is definitely Sobble's biggest challenge. Dreadnought already looks scary, so Sobble already goes invisible when it gets back to the battlefield out of the tank that Goldeen was in. This battle is incredibly hard for Sobble because its invisible strategies aren't working with the amazing defense of Dreadnought. Dreadnought is offering a huge challenge for Sobble. However, Ash believes in Sobble, and Sobble, knowing that Ash believes in him, gains confidence, and this confidence allows it to face it head on without going invisible. It's actually able to land some moves. It actually learns the move. Nessa is able to Dynamax her Dreadnought, and this is where she thinks Ash is going to lose, saying that it's the end of the road for him. Ash still has one Pokemon left. He switches out Sobble for Pikachu. He plans to use Dynamax, and he does. Dynamax Pikachu is definitely harder for Pikachu to adjust to. However, Ash tells Pikachu that they're mainly going to focus on special attacks like Thunderbolt and Iron Tail that will become Max Steel Spike and Max Lightning respectively. The Max moves keep on clashing with each other, none of them actually making a direct target, but on the last turn they can. Ash and Pikachu manage just to be fast enough in order to pull off a Max Steel Spike before the Gigantamax phenomenon ends. However, Dreadnought was prepared for this and gets ready with a ground type move. Pikachu is weakened by the Dynamax state, as those collisions did have some recoil on both Pokemon, and due to Dreadnought's sturdy defense, it didn't really feel it all too well. However, it just has enough time to hit it with a very powerful Mud Shot, sending Pikachu out of bounds and unable to battle. Ash's last Pokemon being Sobble. Sobble has gained enough courage due to Pikachu's encouragement along with Ash, and it faces down Dreadnought. Ash has the perfect strategy. This time he's using Bind. So Sobble keeps on using the invisibility strategy. It can hold and bind while Dreadnought hits it, and then right when it's about to release the move, before Dreadnought can pull out a counterattack, it uses Bind. Now Dreadnought doesn't know where to defend against, where to use Iron Defense. Dreadnought's completely lost. Ash tells it to use Bind combined with his Water Pulse, and due to Taunt being activated at the time, Water Pulse is supercharged. This hits Dreadnought directly, and due to the max Steel Spike before being super effective, Dreadnought is unable to battle, and Ash gains his second gym badge. After the gym battle, he talks to Elaine, saying that he wasn't sure if he was going to win, but he trusted his Pokemon and trusted the strategy they thought of in place, and that anything is possible if you believe in yourself. This is where Elaine gains back her confidence and decides to go in with her Pokemon. This time she plans to go in with her newly caught Bulbasaur using the Grass type moves. The battle starts out again. This time she starts out with her Yamper, and this time Nessa starts out with Goldeen. Goldeen ends up putting up a really good fight, however they come up with a strategy this time. Goldeen to attack has to come up, but since Goldeen's really fast, they can never really counter. This time they time it, and Yamper ends up landing a super effective Spark, knocking out Goldeen almost immediately. Nessa is taken aback by this, but she's into the challenge. She sends out Arrokuda next, and Arrokuda's speed is nothing compared to is way better than Goldeen's. It moves faster than Yamper can actually counter with. She switches out Yamper for Eevee. She's hoping that Eevee, with its better defense, might be able to put up more of a fight, and Eevee manages to. Using moves like Shadow Ball, it ends up obstructing Arrokuda's movements, allowing Eevee to end it with a well-placed tackle and quick attack. Next up, she sends out her Dreadnought, of course, but instead Dynamax is right from the beginning, using moves like Max Waterfall and the other Max moves that Dreadnought would have to its utmost effect. This immediately puts a challenge for Elaine, however she came prepared. She switches out Eevee right away and pulls out Yamper again. Her strategy is for Yamper to cause as most damage as possible, so she tells Yamper to try climbing on Dreadnought's back whenever it lowers its head down to use a move. It's able to do this successfully and uses a bunch of sparks repeatedly. However, Dreadnought is able to catch on to this and instead shakes around repeatedly, and this knocks Yamper out due to falling down from such a high place. Next up, she sends out her Bulbasaur. Now, Bulbasaur's main strategy is to use Solar Beam. Now, since that Dreadnought can't move as fast as it did, it can only really shake every now and then. And not to mention Dreadnought's already slow, Bulbasaur is able to charge this, and it lands a super effective Solar Beam right near Dreadnought, but this doesn't take Dreadnought out. In fact, once Dreadnought finishes Dynamaxing, it uses Bite and immediately knocks out Bulbasaur, who doesn't really have that much battle experience. However, Elaine came prepared. Now it's time for her to Dynamax. This surprises everyone. She Dynamaxes her Eevee, but Eevee looks different. It doesn't look like a typical Eevee. This is a Gigantamax Eevee, and Gigantamax Eevee is ready to tear it down. She uses the move Max Starfall, this being a Fairy type move. This move actually was something Nessa wasn't prepared for. She wasn't prepared for a Fairy type Max move. This ends up throwing her whole strategy on her head. She doesn't get to really use the Dynamax phenomenon because Dreadnought's defense is so good. Dreadnought's defense is almost second to none, however, it does weaken Dreadnought to a point. This is when Eevee's able to use a quick attack and ends up winning the battle. Nessa says that was one of the most intense gym battles she's had in a while, and she had a great time. She says Elaine definitely has potential to become a very strong trainer. Elaine is incredibly ecstatic by this, and she goes on the rest of her journey with her second gym badge. The group almost immediately head to the dinner with Chairman Rose as they forgot, and only Yana was pretty scary when she told them not to be late. Chairman Rose welcomes them all along with Sonia. He talks about the Dynamax and Gigantamax phenomenon they saw today, and says that they want to learn more about it and after all perfect it and utilize it for the future of Galar. All of them seem pretty interested in this, including Sonia. He even states that maybe she should go into the vault in Hammerlock. However, that's the end of the conversation, and the group decide to leave after that. They head over to the second Galar Mines, and this is where they encounter Bede again. However, Bede wants to face Ash. He notes that Ash was able to use a clever strategy and was able to put up a challenge against Nessa. While he lost some Pokemon in the battle too, he realizes that Ash was closer to winning than he was and that he just barely scraped by. So him and Ash have a one-on-one battle, this being Scorbunny vs Hatena. And Scorbunny is able to win this pretty easily due to Ash's expert leadership. Bede is incredibly discouraged by this and is actually afraid of him losing any further, so he immediately calls off the battle and retreats onto Motostoke. The group think nothing much of it, and Ash has met these kind of characters before, and he realizes that Bede is a good guy, but maybe his judgment is a bit misplaced. They continue on, and this is when they run into Team Yell. The group get ready to fight them again, except for an old man to take care of them, this old man being Kabu, the Motostoke gym leader. He instructs that Team Yell were disrupting the peace, and that he was just in here for some training. Team Yell leave because Kabu taught them a lesson, and Kabu runs into Ash and Co. He's actually very excited to meet all of them, especially Ash. He watched Ash's 2 previous gym battles and said they had the highest watch rate out of all the gym battles beforehand, and he's actually really excited to see what Ash can do, especially with that Scorbunny of his. He wants to see if Ash understands what fire types are truly about. And that's what we will cover in the next episode. Yes, this ends episode 6 of What If Pokemon Sword and Shield was in Pokemon Sword and Shield was a series. Thanks for watching, guys. Episode 7 will be out by the end of the month, and it's going to be a pretty big episode. I plan to have voice acting, hopefully, but don't promise me on that. Anyways, thanks for watching, and Samurai out.